Hey guys, I'm going to be doing my very first makeup tutorial. So tonight we are going to be using the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette and the BH Cosmetics Zodiac Love Signs palette. I'm going to go ahead and start with my ColourPop concealer on my eyelids. I use a little baby blender to blend it in and make sure everything's, you know, nice and set and it's not too cakey. As you can tell, I obviously already did my eyebrows prior to the video. I did that just to make this video a little bit shorter and simpler. At a later time, I will do an eyebrow tutorial. I don't know when yet, but that's just, you know, for the time to come. So now that that is all set in all over my eyelids, blend it out a little bit, we are going to go ahead and start with our first shade, which is going to be coming out of the Zodiac Love palette. We're going to go in with a little bit thicker, like blending brush, not too horribly thick, not too horribly thin. I'm going to be going in with this little blue shade right here. We're going to put that all over the top part of our eyelids. I do have music playing in the background, just kind of for a little bit of background noise. It's just the TV playing, whatever comes on their little cable stations. I am just having to keep going in a little bit back into the palette to pick up just a little bit more pigment to reach the desired color that I'm going for, which I actually didn't even realize until just now that my colors kind of match my shirt. So I guess that worked out in my favor. I know everybody has like a different style of how they put on eyeshadow. This is kind of just the easiest way for me to start. I just try to kind of build in my pigment a little bit, and then I'll go in and I'll touch everything up and like correct any like colors, any like thing that's not blended properly, any pigments, any shape changes or anything that I may want later. That's just the easiest way for me personally. Not everybody is like that. A lot of people like to just do it all at the beginning. I feel like I'm never gonna know what a look is actually gonna look like until I'm done, so I may start with an idea in my head and completely change as the time goes on. I'm gonna go back into this eye and just touch up just a little bit further to match the other eye a little bit better. Gonna bounce back and forth a lot. I'm never really steady on one eye, which makes no sense, but that's just me. Alright, so here we are. We kind of maybe messed up a little bit right there, but it's all fixable. It's something that we can touch up at the end. So right now, this is what we're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in with another brush, almost the same as the last one. It's just a tiny bit, tiny bit smaller than the one that I was just previously using. I'm gonna go into the Weekend Festival palette, and we're gonna hit this color. It looks lighter and almost the same shade as the last one, but it's actually, oddly enough, a little bit darker. And we're gonna go right into our crease. Bring it up just a tiny bit above the crease, just to give it a little bit of extra feel. Blend it out a little bit. I'm not really too worried about blending at the very moment. I just kind of want to get that pigment laid. And then once I get that pigment laid, I'll go ahead and go back in and touch up a little bit more and blend out and like go ahead and like get it looking a lot deeper than what it is now. Because I do have hooded eyes, the way that I am putting on my eyeshadow might not be the exact same as everybody else's. The way that I have to, you know, hit a spot a little bit harder and darker on myself might be different than what it looks on and feels on everybody else. So right now I'm just currently going into that crease where my eye does start to hood quite a bit. I'm going to pull that out just a tiny bit more because I am extremely hooded. And then I'm going to go ahead and start going on to the outer half of my actual eyelid over here. And then because of the fact that I'm doing this kind of a look, I am going to go ahead and cut back in with concealer. So I'm not really too worried about, you know, any type of fallout, anything that does go over too far, anything that, you know, whatever may happen, I am going to go in and touch that back up at the end. So as of right now, I'm just kind of trying to build that pigment up on my eyelid. So we're gonna go ahead and like look like that at the moment. I will blend all of that out right now, or not right now, but I will come back and blend that out here after we're done doing this eye. I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure that I get all this pigment laid over here to make sure that the colors are the same. Once I get the colors matching and the pigment, you know, laid, I will go ahead and go back in and blend everything out a little bit better. And if your eyes are anything like mine, you will always have one complicated spot on either one eye or both eyes that just hates pigment. It doesn't want to pick it up, it doesn't want to do anything with it, it just wants it to just not be there. I don't know why I'm like this, but I am. So, okay, now that we have those kind of matching a little bit, I did notice that right here is kind of missing a little bit of pigment, so I am trying to just build that back in there a little tiny bit. Make sure we're matching. And then now that I do have that laid, I am going to go back in with my original brush, my original color. I am barely going to at all pick up any pigment. I am just very, very slightly going to just dab it just a tiny, tiny bit, just to put enough pigment on there to blend these out a little bit better, so it doesn't look like such heavy lines separating. I'm just going to kind of go right across that top little edge, make sure that we get those colors to sit together. Going to tap for just a little bit more color because I think I just want to deepen this just a tiny, tiny bit. And then I'm going to come back over here and do the exact same thing. And because we might have blended a little bit too harsh on that one, I am going to once again go ahead, deepen this whole area just a tiny little bit, just to make sure that, you know, there is a little bit of color contrast. Alright, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Don't worry about the little messiness. We are going to go ahead and come back in and correct that. As of right now, I'm going to pull my concealer back out one more time, and I'm actually going to pull out just like a little brush that I used to cut my concealer with. So we're going to put a little bit of the concealer onto our little brush. I'm going to come in and just kind of draw myself a little line. And the one thing that I always try to make sure that I remind myself when I am cutting, that I can go up too far, I can stuff like that the whole way, mess up, go over too far, whatever it may be. I always still have that first original color, so I can always go in and correct these lines with, you know, my original color. Not cutting enough, you're not going to lay the next color in the right way. So you want to, if anything, if you think that you're undercutting, then go ahead and cut some more. You can always, always, always go back in with your first original shades. And I do, as you like keep seeing me look over that direction and downward, I have a little sponge thing to just kind of wipe extra pigment off, because I am going over top of blue eyeshadow, so I am picking some of the blue shadow up into the concealer, and I don't want to just be spreading blue concealer all over where I'm going to be laying a different color. So I am just wiping that off. That's all I'm doing over there. So I am noticing that I'm not over far enough on this one somehow. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fix that up just a little bit real quick. Like I said, don't ever be afraid. If you go a little bit too much, because you always can blend that out. You obviously don't want to, like, you know, go over everything, but if you happen to make like a tiny little mistake, that area is something that you can very quickly go into and touch it up and not be a concern. I actually did not pay attention to before I started the video and pull out the correct brush that I needed, so I'm going to move this a little bit, pick up my mirror, go back in. I'm going to go in with this really shimmery baby blue kind of color into this little area and just lay that down. It may look like it matches at the moment. It's gonna look a lot different the more that I pack it on. A lot of people like to spray their brush with a setting spray before they pick up any type of shimmer shades. This shimmer shade is so easy and so light, and it picks up so much pigment that I do not have to do that right now. So I might at the very end just to touch up and to pack a little bit more in there, but as of right now I'm just trying to pack a little bit of pigment in there. And I am just dabbing this on rather than you know, brushing it on and blending it in, because you don't want to blend a shimmer shade necessarily. I mean, you do, but you don't want to Alright, so now that we got enough of that just like laid for right now, and yeah, I did kind of try to stay into like the same color scheme for the just beginning everything initial part of it, just because I thought it would be a little bit easier than going in with a bunch of crazy colors and like going all out. So like right now I'm gonna go ahead and just touch all of this up one more time, just to kind of like define my lines, I guess you can say, cover anything that went up too far, Sometimes if, you know, I mess the lines up too horribly bad, I will go in with like a little just angled brush, and I will just touch that area up that I went up too far with, which I might possibly have to do that. I'm not sure yet. And because this is the very first video I've ever recorded of myself doing makeup, I probably rambled a lot, and I probably did a horrible job at looking at the camera and not the mirror. So, oh well, I apologize. My first video. We'll try to do better next time. I'm gonna go back in with that lighter shade one more time, just to very, very barely blend out so I don't mess up any lines. And I'm not even really going up necessarily on this. I'm actually just kind of staying right there on the outer edge of that darker shade that we just touched up. And then I am going to go ahead and go back in with that shimmer. And like I said, some people spray with a setting spray. I am actually going to go ahead and spray with my brush just very lightly one time with a little bit of setting spray. Then I'm going to go ahead and pick that shimmer back up and pack on just a little bit more because I want that to stand out. And also, you know, thank you to anybody who even watches this video, who finishes this video, who actually pays a bit of attention to it. You know, I do appreciate all of you guys, and I do appreciate everyone who is supporting me in the makeup world and, you know, is cheering me on every single day. I do occasionally get very discouraged in the makeup world, but all of you guys are the reason that I'm still going, because everybody, you know, always shows so much love and so much support, and I do genuinely appreciate everything that you guys do say, all of the comments that you guys make, anybody that, you know, is out here showing love, anybody that I'm like, that, you know, tells me that I've inspired. You know, I do appreciate all of your guys' words. It does mean a ton to me. So thank you to all of you guys. I am right now just kind of barely touching up the edges of this with just whatever concealer was already left on my brush. So as of right now, this is where we are at. I am going to throw that deeper color onto a line down here at the bottom of my eye. And then I'm going to cut the top of this a little bit. Or not the top of this, I'm going to cut the sides of this to change just the shape of it. I'm going to take that dark shade and I'm just going to go right across my waterline to blend that all out. so now that I have a determined outer edge, I'm just deepening this a little bit. It's not as dark as I want it to be, I guess, so I'm just kind of adding just a little bit of pigment just down there in that lid area. And since I do have a straight edged brush, you know, I can keep a very defined line and not get super out there. Okay, so now that we have that defined line drawn, I am going to now go in with that concealer and just cut this line just a little bit sharper up against that bottom water line that I just put on there. And then I am going to go back in with that angled brush, or that angled sponge I used at the beginning, and just kind of blend that out so you can't really see it too much right there. And then it is showing just a little bit of blue. So I'm gonna just dot, 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 dot. Come back in with this guy again and just clean some of that up. And like I said, everybody does makeup differently. Like, my style of makeup might not be how your style of makeup is. The way that I did my makeup, you might not like. It works for some people, it doesn't work for some people. So now I'm just going to go back in with, oops, as I just dropped everything. I'm going to go ahead and use my little baby bottle of the MAC Prep and Primer. I'm just going to go ahead and just dot a little bit all over, maybe, if it wants to come out. There we go. Just gonna put a little bit everywhere. And then I'm actually just going to use my fingers. I did wash my hands before I started this whole process, so my hands are clean. I'm not getting any, you know, germs and nastiness all over my face. And I think I just didn't realize it, but I do think I just got really quiet out of nowhere, so I apologize if you can hear that. And I do make a lot of faces when I do my makeup, so sorry. And then I currently am using the CoverGirl True Blend foundation. I'm going to actually, just because that brush still has a little bit of blue on it, I'm just gonna go ahead and just dab this way all over. I may or may not have just gotten that in my hair. Oh well if I did. Great if I didn't. And then I am going to go in with my beauty blender and just blend everything in as much as possible. A lot of people like to do their face before, and some people even like to do, you know, their eyebrows, you know, last, and their eyeshadow last, and all of that. Personally, for me, I like to do my face last, because if I do have any mistakes or fallout or anything like that, I can always go back into it. I am the type of person that likes to go down my neck just to kind of make sure everything, you know, does fully blend perfectly. And then now that we are there, you know, there's always the choice to contour. You always have the choice to do lashes, eyeliner, you know, whatever you may add. Today I'm not going to be doing, well, I am going to be doing that. I'm just not going to do that on camera. So I'm going to go ahead and just end this video here, and then I will post a final pictures with my contour, my highlight set in, any lashes that I may or may not do, mascara, all of the final stuff. I just mainly wanted to do this video so you guys could see my eyeshadow routine. So once again, thank you everybody who did watch tonight and today, whenever you do watch this video. Thank you for any support, any likes, any reviews, any comments, anything that you may have to say, any criticism even. You know, I'm always open to listen to anything. So once again, thank you guys for watching tonight, or whenever you watch, I guess.